Hallo, herzlich willkommen zur 17. Folge von Suzerain zusammen Apfel.
Hallo.
Letzte Folge haben wir zwei alte Männer gefunden und heute gehen wir in Trials of Democracy.
Gut.
Ja, wie
Wir
hast du es
saßen da einfach.
wie hast du es beschrieben?
Ja,
Sie haben uns gefunden.
zwei alte Männer haben uns gedroht. Macht die ganze Story auf einmal spannend.
Nee, ich find's schön so.
So, mit wem reden wir denn heute?
Mit wem reden wir denn heute? Barbecue with Frank.
Ja! Let's go.
It was a Saturday afternoon, my first break from work, in what felt like years, and the weather couldn't have been more perfect. Trying to keep my mind off the upheaval sparked by the circus assassination, I lit the backyard grill. Monica and Diana were out shopping for craft supplies, and I'd give the staff the day off. It was just myself and Frank at home.
Das ist so ein perfekter Filmstart, Alter.
I wasn't sure how he felt about me at the moment, but I didn't know how he felt about barbecue ribs. Our cook had left some marinating in the refrigerator.
Ich habe Gott sei Dank nichts gegessen.
Sure enough, as soon as Frank glimpsed the grill and the meat, he stepped outside to join me. Well, look who's finally out of his room.
You should talk, Dad. I've never seen you at home anymore.
Look, son, I'm preoccupied with matters of national importance.
Zwei. Sind wir mal ein bisschen nett. It's okay. I know you've got the most stressful job in the country.
Yeah.
And you've got to feed your family on top of it all.
We both chuckled. I turned to tend to the fire.
Here, let me try.
He grabbed the fan and started quickly waving it over the coals. The fire roared to life.
Das war Stichflamme.
He turned to look at me with a grin on his face, as if he was expecting praise.
Not bad, aber es geht noch besser.
Not bad, son. Not bad.
Thank you, sir. It is our utmost interest to fulfill our duties with precision. The grilling shall commence in exactly 1 minute and 32 seconds. Bisschen Humor, der doch.
That was a spot-on impersonation of Lucian. We looked at each other for a second, then burst out laughing. I realized my throat was parched. There was a 6-pack of beer in the kitchen.
Das ist ein echt Solution, ne?
Why don't you bring us a couple of beers? He looked at me in disbelief.
You mean I can't? But Mom told me.
He stopped himself, quickly ran inside and returned with 2 beers. We cracked them open, clinked the bottles, and gazed out at the city skyline.
Das ist ein guter Vater.
For a moment my thoughts flashed back to my childhood and my relationship with my own father. My father was a rich man. We never had to worry about food, clothes, or anything else. Yet he was nearly always away, and constantly distracted on the rare occasions when he was at home. Now that I was the president, I was worried that I would end up like my father, distant and absent from Frank's life.
Dad, can I ask you something?
Go on.
It's just, I feel like there's so much you've been hiding from me. About your past and about what's going on right now. Staatsgeheimnisse, mein Freund, Digga. Like at dinner that night after the ball. You told me everything was under control. But it wasn't, was it? I know what happened in the 20s. We learned all about it in school. Now, with the protests and the riots, is it going to be the same thing?
Hoffentlich nicht.
Dad, is there going to be a civil war in Swordland?
No, I will never let that happen.
Good. But what was it like back then? Uncle Peter said the two of you went through a lot. Ah, der Panzer. Der Panzer.
War so
I'm
wunderschön.
not a kid anymore. You can tell me.
Before I could gather my thoughts, the familiar images started flashing before my eyes. Images of soldiers advancing towards me and my friends, weapons drawn. Of people I knew, friends and neighbors, being dragged through the streets and murdered in alleyways. And that little girl's face.
Those were dark times.
Those were dark times.
It seems like it.
But you're nearly a grown man. Let's talk about it.
Ja, why not?
Frank leaned forward in his chair, his eyes wide. Actually, never mind. Now is not the time to talk about it.
Das können wir jetzt nicht bringen. Der Coup oder das Civil War?
No, Civil War.
Ja, machen wir Civil War.
It was time to tell him about the Civil War. It was right, after I met your mother. We had both joined the same political debate group to push for change after the coup of 27. Actually, I became convinced it wasn't doing enough, so I joined the Young Swords.
Hast du eventually oder actually gesagt?
I guess actually. Then one night it happened. Two different factions in the army, one of them led by fascist General Luderin and the other by socialist General Rickard, started fighting against each other. It was a bloodbath. Nowhere was safe. Frank shifted in his seat, visibly uncomfortable.
Das war doch gar nichts, mein Sohn.
So we organized a protest one day against Rickard. We were fed up with the army toying with the country again.
Wir waren über die Fascists.
Ja, aber erzählen wir nicht von den Mädchen.
Nicht?
Okay?
Ja, vielleicht wird er nochmal Erwachsene.
I paused for a moment. It was horrible. They were waiting for us. Soldiers started beating and shooting at everyone, employing their tanks into the crowd. Amid the chaos, there was this girl. I never forgot her face. I tried to save her, but I couldn't reach her in time. Frank's face had grown pale. He turned his eyes away from me.
Ich weiß, was passiert ist.
That's enough for today, I guess.
Ja. It's okay. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have asked you about it. I know I don't understand how easy my life is sometimes. One more thing, though. I know you joined the Young Swords back then. Do you mind if I ask why?
Yes, I do mind. I don't want to talk about about it. Scotland was under attack by communists, and I had to defend the country. 3.
Ja.
Frank raised his eyebrows, his curiosity still not satisfied, but sensing my reluctance to go on. Reluctance. To go on. He simply nodded.
Sorry for bombarding you with questions. I know I complain sometimes, but my problems are nothing compared to what you went through.
Ja, genau, will ich aber auch sagen. Jetzt such dir einen Job und geh arbeiten.
Dumme Bitch.
I'm here to listen to them, no matter what they are. What problems? You're damn right! Your generation will never understand!
Ja. 1 oder 2?
1. Before Frank could say anything else, I hear the front door unlock, Diana and Monica's voices, and the sounds of rustling shopping bags fill the house.
Alright, I'll be upstairs until dinner.
Schnell wirf das Bier über den Zaun! Ja, den Joke haben wir noch nie gebracht. Frank went in and dashed upstairs. I took a long sip from my beer, looking at the city and the now setting sun. Ich glaube, das Fleisch auf unserem Grill ist einfach tot.
Da kannst du grillen, schon verbrannt, Alter.
I hope that talking to Frank about my past had been the right decision. Part of me felt as if some sort of burden had been lifted. But I had the same nightmares again that night. Yeah. Sind wir, oh. Ach stimmt, wir sind dann in Nachbel. Road to Nachbel. Gut, dann war's es mit der Folge. Lasst uns ein Like und ein Abo da, wenn es euch gefallen hat. Schaut beim nächsten Mal vorbei und tschüss.